there's kind of like a Masonicness about it, sort of, you know, you have to get up to the 33rd degree before you know everything and all that sort of stuff. So it's really secretive, and it's kind of, you know, I think of that as dishonest. They say a lot of times that, you know, oh, if we were to tell you about the stuff that we were going to ask of you, you would never have joined in the first place. But, you know, I think that if you can't really successfully sort of promote your idea without feeding it to people bit by bit, or if you can't be honest about it, then maybe your idea really isn't that great. 8, they're like super Zionist, and they're very bigoted against those that Israel doesn't like. Kiko told the Pope, Kiko's the founder, Kiko told the Pope to take sides with Israel when it bombed innocent Lebanese civilians, even Christian villages. And, you know, the Neocatechumenal way is supposed to be Christian. So this is ironic also because Lebanon has the highest percentage of Neocatechumenal communities in the Middle East. Catechists often dress up as rabbis during the masses, and they literally refer to Jews as superior people. 9. The group is hateful and abusive to those who leave it, calling them traitors or Judas or apostates, and they tell their former friends from the group not to associate with them anymore if they leave. They call authority figures who oppose them or don't agree with them 100%. They call them Pharaoh, because they see themselves like the Israelites, and Pharaoh supposedly persecuted Moses and the Israelites. And I guess they kind of see themselves as like a continuation of that. One of the religious leaders who opposed the way, he had a heart problem a short time after one of the debates against them, and Kiko said to his followers that this was some sort of like punishment for going against them. Kind of creepy. 10. When members hit the second scrutiny, they must give the Neocatechumenate 10% of their income every month from then on. And many members become very poor, yet the upper members become very rich. My friend lives in San Marino, which is a tiny republic, which is completely surrounded by Italy. They speak Italian there, but it's technically a different country. Well, anyway, I looked it up online, and it's one of the richest nations in the world, super high GDP, and it's got one of Europe's lowest unemployment rates. And my friend said that he has a ton of debts, and this is a super talented, intelligent man who speaks very good English, knows how to program computers, and compose his own music. So this is like the kind of effect that the Neocatechumenate has on people, even productive people like that. 11. They leave absolutely no financial trail whatsoever and show no monetary records, even when they're asked to do so. They say that people who ask these questions are making money and idle. They also say this about people who won't or can't pay the 10% a month tithe, which goes pretty much to the upper members' pockets, not to like religious education or charity or anything. 12. The Neocatechumenal way deprives people of food and sleep at Easter time, and it calls it fasting, but that's nowhere near what it really is. Fasting is just like, you know, maybe you don't eat for 3 hours before communion, or you break your fast at the end of the day and stuff like that. You know, this is like nowhere near how bad the fasting is in the Neocatechumenal way. Augusto Faustini, who's Italian, his family joined the way, but he didn't. He's opposed to it. And he says that they pretty much lived together with the other members for the Easter holiday, and they had to stop eating on Friday, Good Friday, when Jesus was crucified. They had to not eat on Saturday either. Then they had to stay up all night Saturday night singing Kiko's songs, and then like in the morning they had to engorge on this gigantic feast early in the morning, and they'd puke or get drunk or fall asleep, and they had pretty much no time to spend with their non-neocatechumenal relatives. And I read online that sleep and food deprivation are considered to be tactics to control people's behavior, so that kind of fits right in with everything we've been talking about. 13. Of course, one of the most predictable things about this group is the fact that it arranges marriages, which often have to be annulled by the regular church. Members must marry someone they date for less than a year to prevent sex before the wedding. The spouses usually just go to Neocat meetings together instead of going on like meaningful dates. And the weddings are just these hypnotic, crazy pop concerts with Kiko music, and they kind of separate the Neocat from the non-Neocat guests. And both spouses, of course, must be part of the group, or else if there's a member who's not part of the group, then he or she has to be converted soon, or else the marriage has to break up. An ex-member said that 99% of the marriages are arranged or pushed in some way, and another one said that people are made to feel inadequate if they're single. Of course, you have to get your catechist's permission when choosing a spouse, and likely he won't let you marry someone you truly love. 14. Members are not supposed to love their spouses, because this makes the spouse, you guessed it, an idol. You have to put God, which means the way, between you and your partner. This is so the marriage will be easy to break up in case one partner leaves the group and tries to drag the other with him. When these marriages start to fail, they bring out the old excuse, oh, everyone has to carry a cross in his life, and oh, no one likes their partner 100%. In other words, just deal with it. Members who are legitimately married and loved each other before joining are often broken up if only one partner joins, because he or she is taught to ignore the love in favor of loving Kiko and the group instead. And this is even worse because in this case the partners actually were in love, at least at one point. It's not like the fake marriages where they meet each other while they're in the group. And according to many ex-members, children are not supposed to be fully loved either because they're just a distraction from God. 15. The way pressures members into talking about their sex life, in front of strangers, including the entire Neocatechumenal community. And the group pretty much pressures spouses into having sex even if they don't like their spouse or if they don't like sex. And this is because they want more members. They call it being open to life, but mothers often have 11 kids to the point of physical illness, and abortions, even to save her life, are not allowed. Natural family planning and condoms aren't allowed either. And catechists are pretty much in control of all the medical decisions. They are not prolific because they love children so much. A lot of the parents just want to have as many kids as possible because that's what they think God wants, and the kids often don't get cared for properly, especially since they have to ignore the kids to go on the religious obligations. 16. An Italian site full of ex-members says that they send young girls over to China to seduce the men into the group. It's kind of ironic because my friend in Italy said that Ukrainian girls always seduce men in his country. 17. Divorce isn't allowed even in necessary cases, and even in cases the Pope would approve of. Of course, if the way believes it's necessary, then out the door your partner goes. That's a different story. Like if, a non-member marries a member and they refuse to convert. In that case, they claim that the Church's law, called the Pauline privilege, would allow an annulment or a divorce. And this law was originally there in the olden days to allow a Christian to divorce a pagan who was trying to interfere with their religious practice. But the pagan, in this case, refers to anybody, even someone born and raised Catholic, who's not part of the Neocatechumenal way. So even the Pope is a pagan, according to them. They just won't tell you that to your face because they might get in trouble. 18. According to ex-members, they don't like social workers to investigate their families, probably because they're often unhappy spouses, lazy husbands, child abuse sometimes, wife beating, etc. Not all families are like this, but many are unhappy, and a lot of them are kind of just neglected at home, the children, because there's so many of them and because of their religious obligations. And Kiko has actually spoken negatively about psychology, and he's actually said he has a lot of distaste for psychologists and the whole sort of thing. Beaten wives have been told to go back to their husbands, and a son was blamed for his alcoholic mother's death. Peachy. 19. There are many suicides and depression, and they pretty much try to deny or cover up these cases, saying that one person who obviously killed themselves on the train tracks did so by accident. They don't really want to admit that members are depressed, and they say that if you're depressed, it's because you're not open to God or something.